विद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। अपार करुणासिन्धुं ज्ञानदं स्वान्तरूपिणं श्रीचन्द्रशेखरगुरुं प्रणमामि मुदात्। परित्यज्य मौनं वठादस्थितिं च व्रजन् भारतस्य प्रदेशात् प्रदेशम् मधुस्यन्ति वाचा जनान् धर्ममार्गेण यन् श्रीजयेन्द्र वादिचित्तेन मामः शङ्करान् वाक्यविजयेन्द्र सरस्वती नमामः शङ्करान् वाक्यविजयेन्द्र सरस्वतीं श्रीगुरुं दिष्टमार्गान्तिकारं सन्मतिप्रदं सत्यनारायणक्षेत्रात् सत्यव्रतमुपागतम् आश्रये कामकोटीशं सत्यश्रीचन्द्रशेखरम् सद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। In the third chapter, third adhyaya, called as Karma Yoga, Krishna is talking about Kama and Krodha and how the Indriyas are Indriyani Mano Buddhihi. How these are the Adhisthana of Kama and Krodha. And that is why Tasmat Tvam Indriyanyadav Niyamya. Hey Bharata Rishabha. Bharata Rishabha is another name for Arjuna. Hey Bharata Rishabha, Tasmat Tvam Indriyanyadav Niyamya. It is because of this reason you have to be very careful with your Indriyas. Niyamya. Abdina, you have to regulate your Indriyas. Because if you don't regulate your Indriyas, if you do not keep your Indriyas busy with other activities, Kama and Krodha is going to come and sit. An idle mind is a devil's workshop. What is the devil? Kama and Krodha. I will keep my mind busy. If you indulge in Kama and Krodha, if you indulge in Indriyas, again, the vasanas of Kama and Krodha is going to be higher. That is why in our Shastras, it has given us a regulated timetable so that you will not find any free time. Only when we have free time, your mind will have time to think about Kama and Krodha. If you take out any Dharma Shastra textbook, right from morning 4:30 to night 10 o'clock, it gives out a rigid timeline. If you follow the timeline, you will not have any time to think about any other things. Because Papapmanam Prajagihyenam Jnana Vijnana Nashanam. The Indriya, the Kama, it is Papmanam. It is going to create Papam. Jnana Vijnana Nashanam. It is going to destroy your Jnana. It is going to destroy your Vijnana. What is the difference between Jnana and Vijnana? Acharya gives out in his Bhashyam. Jnanam Shastrataha Acharyataha cha Atmadinam Avabodhaha Vijnanam Visheshataha tad Anubhavaha. Jnanam is that knowledge that you gain from Guru Shastra Upadesha. Here also Acharya is very clear. I cannot just take a textbook and then read. You have to have a guru. And guru should teach from Shastra. These both are important. Jnanam Shastrataha Acharyataha. Cha Atmadinam Avabodha. What is Vijnanam? That Anubhava of Atma, that realization. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Everybody knows how to put that into practice. That is called as Vijnana. E is equal to mc square is Jnanam. How to use that to make energy is Vijnana. Aham Brahmasmi is Jnanam. To follow that, to realize that, to experience within double quote is Vijnanam. And this Kama and the Krodha is going to destroy both. So that is why we have to be very, 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 very important. We have to be very, 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 very careful. And there are several ways by which we give more importance to the Atma Vastu, right? Or we do the Niyamya. Here, Krishna talks about an intelligent way. He is telling what is more important than what. Indriyani paranyahuhu. What is second shloka? Indriyebhyah param manaha. Manasastu para buddhi. Yo buddhehe paratastu saha. Hey Arjuna, if you just sit and think for some time, you will understand, Arjuna. Indriyani paranyahuhu. As you go more and more subtle, it becomes greater and greater. Your body is the grossest thing. Grossest, it's not gross, it's gross. Something which is very, 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 very tangible. But what is more important than your body? Your indriyas. Already I have told you the difference between indriya and golaka. The physical eye is golaka. The capacity to see things is netra indriya. The physical ear, it is part of your body. Your physical ear is part of your body, indriya, but your capacity to hear, the capacity to hear includes your physical ears, but it does not stop with your physical ears. Through auditory nerves, it goes to your brain, something that happens in your brain. That's how you hear. So the capacity to hear is called as indriya. The physical ear is called as golaka. So indriyani paranyahuhu. Ahuhu means body. Indriyas means the indriya. The indriyas are greater than your body. Even if you have pain in the body, sometimes your indriyas will like the pain. So we will undergo the pain. For example, spicy food. It is very, very hot. It pains your physical body. Your tongue is part of your physical body. But some people will like spicy food. Why? Because their indriyas like physical body. Even though it hurts their their indriyas like spicy food. Even though it hurts their physical body, because indriyas like them, people will eat. And the doctor will say, no, you have to cut down your spicy food because you have got ulcer. Ulcer is part of your physical body. spicy food, I like that spicy food, it satisfies your indriya. Just because something satisfies your indriya, you compensate on the well-being of your physical body. Indriyani paranyahu. People who are into adventure sports, Indriyani paranyahu. But there is something that is even more subtle than Indriya and more important. Ennana? Manaha. Indriyebhyah param manaha. Your mind is much more subtler than your Indriyas. Body is grossest. Subtler than your body is Indriyas. Subtler than your Indriyas is your mind. Hence, if your mind makes up certain thing, even if it causes problem to your body and Indriyas, we do that process. People who are, who are impulsive. Your impulsive people, you guys would have seen. People who are into dangerous sport and all. Why did you do now? Because my mind told me so. I don't have any good reason to explain why I jumped off that building. இந்த பசங்களுக்கெல்லாம் பார்க்கலாம். இங்க ஏதாவது எங்க அந்த குதிக்கும். குதிச்சுனா கையில கால்ல ரத்தம் வரும். The kids will be in hospital undergoing treatment. But after that, they will do the same thing again. Not only kids, lots of adults also do the same thing. அவளுக்கு மனசுல ஏதாவது ஒண்ணு தோணிடும். Just because it came in their mind, they will want to do that. Otherwise, their ego will come and poke. Indriyebhyah param manaha. Why? Because it came out of my mind. Even if it is wrong, because it came out of my mind, I will have very, 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 very hard time accepting that I am wrong. You'll never accept that we are wrong. Why? Because it came out of my mind. Indriyebhyah param manaha. We can see this in relationships. Some people will be like, okay, people who are in like abusive relationships and all, they will still be there in that relationship. Why? Because their mind told them so. They will be physically, they will get abused. But because of their mind, manasastu para buddhihi, there is something that is even more subtler than mind. And hence more important, vatana buddhi. Your intellect, if it is very, very strong, it can rule over your mind as well. Your mind can undergo lots of pain. Your indriyas can undergo lots of pain. Your body can undergo lots of pain. Why? Because my buddhi told so. People who are very, very doctrinized, the freedom fighters. They think with their intellect, right? They would have been separated from their family. They will be physically hurt. All these things would have happened to them. Why? Because their buddhi is looking out for a greater cause. Their intellect, they have got a vision. For that vision, they are ready to sacrifice anything. Their mental peace, mental happiness. Some people who are like very, very focused into work. It is all intellect, right? because their intellect is very, very strong, they don't worry about going to a party, spending time with family, spending down time with loved ones. All these things are manaha, right? It concerns with mind. I take a break. They will never do that because their mind will be longing for a break, but they are driven by an ideology. A very highly motivated person. So a lot of successful people come under this category. Manasastu parabuddhi. Because they are successful, because they are so much into their intellect, lots of intellectuals and all, their buddhi will always win over their mind. From a third person, their family person will tell, okay, why this person is working this much, he's not taking any rest. He probably sleeps for 3 hours. People tell that about the Elon Musk. They say that he sleeps in his office. He sleeps for 3 hours or 4 hours a day. There are lots of people like that. He does not have any mental peace and all. Because their mind, their intellect is more activated. Manasastu parabuddhihi. That is why, it is their intellect that drives their mind. It is the intellect that drives their indriya. It is their intellect that drives their body. That Arjuna, know something, Arjuna. There is something that is more subtler than your intellect and hence more important than your intellect. What now? Yo buddhehe paratastu saha. Saha. Whenever in Shastra, third person singular is used, it refers to Brahman. Soham, saha aham. I am that. Third person singular. What is that now? Brahman. Not Chaturmukha Brahma, husband of Saraswati. Brahman. Your Atma. Hey Arjuna, know that your Atma is more subtler than your intellect and hence more important than your intellect. In fact, your intellect, your mind, your indriya, your body, all of these things work because of Atma. Your mind, your intellect blessed by Atma will work. Your mind blessed by Atma is living. Your indriyas blessed by your Atma will work. Your body blessed by Atma, your work, it will work. If your body does not have the blessings of Atma, your body is a dead body. If your mind does not have the blessings of Atma, it is a dead mind. There is an Upanishad called as Kenopanishad. It begins with this type of reasoning. That which you cannot see with your eyes, that because of which your eyes can see everything, that is Atma. That which cannot be heard by your ears, but that because of which your ears have the power of hearing, that is Atma. That which cannot be eaten, but because of which your mouth gets power to eat things, that is Atma. That which cannot be imagined by your mind, but that because of which your mind gets its power, that is Atma. So by this logic, Atma is the most important thing. It is most subtle, but it is most important. when you see this progression, body, subtler than body is your indriyas, subtler than indriyas is your mind, subtler than mind is your intellect, subtler than intellect is your Atma. But unfortunately, people do not have refinement in their system to appreciate the subtleness in this whole world full of humans. Lots and lots of people give importance only to their body. Right? As long as my body is happy, I am happy. Some people, they give their importance to their indriyas than their body. Some people give more importance to their mind than their indriyas. They will think things through. And only a fraction of the people will have their intellect working. At least till mind, it happens to lots of people. Mind is the emotional faculty, manaha. Buddhi is the intellectual faculty, doubting factor. Many people will have their subtlety enough to appreciate their mind. But for lots of people, the buddhi will not be even there. Whatever their mind tells, they will do. It does not mean that whatever their buddhi tells, they will not do. But their buddhi will not even come into picture. No, if their buddhi tells something, everybody will follow their buddhi. But for many people, their buddhi will not even come into picture. Buddhi will be happily sleeping. No, the decisions that people make surrounding us. They will not have an objective mindset. They will make a decision. But no, when we are looking at all of them at a distance, we can clearly think, okay, because for us, buddhi works. For them, buddhi will not work. At least at that time. If the buddhi would have worked, he will definitely listen to the buddhi. But buddhi will not be activated. Right? But for most of the people, even people who are intellect, their buddhi gets activated, but they will not have the vision under double quotes of Atma, Buddhehe Paratastu Saha. Ramanujar, they tell this story about Ramanuja. There is a Urangavalli Dasan orthar irundar. He is supposed to be the greatest boxer, bodybuilder, bouncer. His wife is called as Urangavalli. I think I'm getting the name right. He is so attached to his wife that, whenever the wife walks in the road, he will open a red carpet. Right. So Ramanuja was in Srirangam at that time. So Ramanuja went to Kaveri. Kaveri, as usual, no water, only sand. There is some water somewhere. Ramanuja went there to do his Anushtana. He saw this guy. This guy will always look at his wife's face. Having a umbrella on top of his wife so that she is not, it is very sunny day. And then he's also putting the red carpet so that her feet does not get burnt. Ramanuja saw this. Ramanuja was so perplexed. Then Ramanuja No, he is a very compassionate man, compassionate saint. Ramanuja went to this person. Ramanuja is a sannyasi. He went to this person and then he said, okay, what is in her that is so attracting to you? You are doing so much for your wife. Why do you do this? This guy, even though he's a boxer, he looked at Ramanuja. Ramanuja seemed to be like, very genuine person. So he started opening it. He said like, no, I am so mesmerized by her eyes. Her eyes are so beautiful. I always want to see her eyes. And when the sun comes, 12 மணி வெயில், her eyes, நமக்கே ரொம்ப வெயில்ல போனா கண்ணெல்லாம் ஒரு மாறி போயிடும். I don't want that to happen. அதே மாதிரி கால்ல வெயில்ல நடக்கிறச்சே கால் சுட்டுதுன்னா, the first part that it affects your face and your eyes, right? I don't want those beautiful eyes to suffer. That is why I do all these things. I am very much attracted to her eyes, said Raman. Said this Urangavalli Das. Ramanuja, in his infinite compassion, he said, hey, if I show you a pair of eyes which is much more beautiful than your wife's, what will you do? This person said, oh, if you can show me that eyes, then I will become your Shishya. We will become your Shishya. So the point of Ramanuja is not to separate the husband and wife. The point of Ramanuja is, he has taken this Janma, புள்ளாய் பூழாய் புருவாய் மரமாகி பல்விருகமாய் பறவையாய் பாம்பாகின்னு எல்லா ஜென்மாவும் எடுத்து மனுஷ ஜென்மா எடுத்திருக்கான். இதை போய் ஒரு மனுஷனுடைய கண்ணை பார்த்து வீணாக்கறானேன்னு he was so thinking. So he said, okay, we both will become your Shishya. So Ramanuja brought them to Ranganatha. And then Ramanuja showed the beautiful eyes of Ranganatha. Tasya yata kapyasam pundarika meva makshini. According to the Visishtadvaita Sampradaya, this Vedic Upanishadic Shloka describes the beautiful eyes of Bhagavan. Bhagavan's eyes is so red like a lotus flower. Ramanuja showed the beautiful eyes of Ranganatha, and both husband and wife, they got so mesmerized with the beautiful eyes of Ranganatha, they both become the Sishyas of Ramanuja. In fact, there is even stories that says Ramanuja, while going to take bath, he will be holding the hands of a Brahmana. But while coming from bath, he will be holding the hands of the Urangavalli Dasa, if I remember right. He became a very beautiful Shishya, very important Shishya of Ramanuja. So what Ramanuja did here, he showed him something more beautiful, something more appealing, that he lost his attraction to less beautiful, less appealing things. That is what Krishna does here. Krishna, he gives the progression. Lowest of the lowest is your body, Ahu. Higher than body is your Indriyas. Higher than Indriyas is your mind. Higher than mind is your Buddhi. Higher than Buddhi is your Atma. So when I get hold of my Indriya, I will lose my clutches that I have with my body. When I hold on to my mind, I will lose the clutches of my Indriyas. When I hold on to Buddhi, I will lose the clutches of mind. When I hold on to the Atma, I will lose clutches of my intellect as well. What Here Krishna, they hold on to the Atma, lose the clutches of all the other things other than Atma. Evam buddhehe param buddhva. संस्तभ्य एवं बुद्धेः परं बुद्ध्वा संस्तभ्यात्मानमात्मना जहि शत्रु महाबाहो कामरूपम दुरासतम. Hey, know that something higher exists than your intellect. Why should somebody tell this? If something is more important, should not we actually know this now? The more subtle a thing is, the more harder for us to appreciate and know that. It is durvigneyaha. That is why mind, intellect is more subtler than mind. Even though intellect is more powerful, but because intellect is more subtle, people's intellect do not get activated. People do not have the vision of their own intellect. And because Atma is even more subtler than intellect, it becomes very, 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 very harder. Evam buddhehe param buddhva. Know that thing which is even more important, more subtler than buddhi. Buddhehe param buddhva. When you know that, samstabhya atmanam atmana. You have your focus on the Atma. When you have your focus on Indriyas, your body disappears. When you have focus on your mind, your Indriya disappears. When I say disappears, it does not physically disappear, but the comfort of Indriyas disappears. The importance that you give to the Indriyas disappears. When you have your focus on your buddhi, the importance that you give to mind disappears. When you have your focus on the Atma, the importance that you give to the comforts of buddhi, manaha, indriya, and the body disappears. And kama and krodha, where does it live? Mano, indriya, mano, buddhi. Indriyani, mano, buddhi, he said. So when you have your focus on the Atma, because of the focus, the comforts of your body, indriyas, mind and intellect disappears. You will not give more importance to kama and krodha. Jahi shatru mahabaho kamarupam durasadam shatru jahi. Jahi means win over. You will win over the shatru, the enemy. That is kama. Kama rupam durasad. And what type of kama? Kama cannot be easily won over, but one way, the very important way to win over kama is to have this sukshma buddhi. Focus your mind, have your focus on the Atma. So the importance that you give to all the other things slowly disappears. Because all those other things are the adhisthana of kama and krodha. With this, the Tritiyodhyaya is over. Om Tat Sat. Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastri Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Karma Yogo Nama Tritiyodhyaya. In the next class, we'll start with the Chaturthodhyaya Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yuga. Thanks a lot.